Hello and welcome back to Picks and Portraits. Earlier this year, we looked at how cartoons have been used to sell things, animated advertising, how they shill products, that sort of thing. Today, we are going to be covering something adjacent, puppeteer Jim Henson and the commercials he produced using his brand of puppets, the Muppets. We will break down some of his campaigns and clients, obviously the characters, the Muppets, exclusive to the commercials. But first, I'd like to give a little bit of background on Henson, even though I'm sure many of you are at least partially familiar with his work. Henson's impact on children's entertainment throughout the 20th century is perhaps second only to Walt Disney. His studio, the Jim Henson Company, was responsible for producing characters for Sesame Street, while his original creations became stars in their own right. The Muppets, led by Kermit the Frog, launched a media empire that included television series and movies. But before all of this, Henson was just a kid, fascinated with television. He actually got his start in TV, creating puppets for a local station while still in high school. Puppets were a fixture on early TV, the most popular program probably being Howdy Doody. Even outside of TV, puppet shows were hugely popular in the world Jim Henson grew up in. Now I consider puppetry to be an extension of animation, and like animation, it's a medium unto itself. There are many different types of puppets, marionettes, ventriloquists, and sock puppets, to name a few. Henson would get his first big break in 1955 when he was given his own show on WRC-TV, Washington's NBC affiliate, Sam and Friends. Sam and Friends consisted of short, 5-minute segments featuring Henson's brand of puppets, the Muppets. I guess now would be a good time to highlight what exactly a Muppet is. What defines a Muppet, separate from other traditional forms of puppetry, is just the way it's brought to life. Unlike, say, marionettes or even sock puppets, which grew out of live theater, Muppets were designed specifically to appear on television or film. Special sets could be constructed to hide the humans. This allowed Henson and his assistants more freedom of movement and, in turn, create the illusion that these puppets were walking among us. Advertising on television was much different in the 1950s. You would often only have a jingle or the product pitched by a spokesperson. This was a less globalized time with many regional brands, and unique spots would be produced for different markets around the country. The popularity of Sam and Friends led Henson to appearances on talk shows, giving him national exposure, which in turn opened the doors to promotional opportunities. His first commercial campaign was for Wilkins Coffee, out of Washington, D.C. He created 2 similar Muppets for this, Wilkins and Wontkins. Now, some of these are absolutely wild. In a couple, Wontkins is straight up shot for not drinking Wilkins coffee. This was their general dynamic, one willing, one not, hence Wilkins, Wonkins. Wonkins is often bullied into getting the coffee, and the audience is seemingly threatened as well. The humor in these is very ahead of its time. They sometimes mock themselves and the idea of promoting products in exchange for money, which is kind of refreshing to see. Despite being named after the product, Wilkins and Wonkins not only promoted other products, but other coffee brands in different markets. Here we see them representing Nash's Coffee and La Touraine. Long before the Juggalos repped Faygo, the Muppets did. This is a commercial from the late 50s in which Wilkins and Wonkins shill the soda. They were obviously the same Muppets, but sometimes their names were changed to match the product in different markets. For example, they became Cal and So when promoting Calso bottled water here in 1961, or Frank and Fink in this ad for Frank's Beverages. They keep the dynamic roughly the same, and sometimes recycle bits. We see a lot of this, given that these aired in different regions. It was unlikely the viewers would even know that they were seeing something that had been rehashed, in a way. Henson's next commercial creation was 1962's Anki. Anki represented Encore frozen foods, kind of TV dinner products, that sort of thing. He appeared in the supermarket, racing around in a cart or hiding in the freezer. After he plugs it, he taps the logo repeatedly, which I think is absolutely adorable. Anki would later be reworked in the decade as Mac, who shilled Southern Bell and the C&P Telephone Company of Virginia. I prefer Anki, personally. Now on to some more unique Muppets and spots. This 1963 commercial for Marathon Gasoline features 2 singing gas pumps, regular and premium, known collectively as the Pitchman pumps. What separates these from the others we're looking at is that they are not voiced by Henson and Company. Instead, professional singers perform a jingle, sort of like a sing-along. Not all Henson-produced commercials featured Muppets as well. This one for Ivory Liquid Soap stars a pair of hands playing in the soap. Hands are also the star of these spots for Aurora Bath Tissue. A hand softly dances with rolls of toilet paper. Wilkins and Watkins would have a brief resurgence in the late 60s for Tasty Bread. Henson apparently loved the duo format, as it was replicated by Scoop and Skip for Wilson's Meat, Arnold and Fred for Muncho's Chips, Fred and Tommy for Kern's Bread, and Nutty Bird and Sour Bird, who shilled RC Cola. RC, short for Royal Crown Cola, is the distant third in the cola wars behind Coke and Pepsi. It's actually the only brand on here I've heard of. One-off characters included the Southern Colonel. He really just appeared for Southern Bread. Now in this campaign of 16 commercials, he would exclaim, "I would do anything for Southern Bread," and then do something outrageous like outrun a herd of elephants or go to New York. There was also Delbert the LaTroy Dragon. This was brought to life by Frank Oz in a bodysuit, something unique to this campaign. LaTroy was a brand of canned Asian American food, and Delbert was an overly enthusiastic pitchman. His enthusiasm usually resulted in chaos, either on account of his fire breath or clumsy movements. Sir Linnet represented Linnet fabric finish and was an anthropomorphic aerosol can with irons for feet. The animation is incredible here. Established or famous Muppets also appeared in ads, Ralph and Kermit. At this point, Ralph is arguably a bigger star than Kermit. He regularly appeared on the Jimmy Dean Show, which was a variety show at the time. In 1962, he shilled Purina Dog Chow, which makes sense, he's a dog. He appeared here alongside Baskerville the Hound. He also appeared in this commercial for Ideal Plush Toys. There was one with his likeness, as well as Kermit's, and someone known as Snurf, which apparently was advertised, but never actually sold. Speaking of Kermit, he appeared alongside Mac for Clausen's Bakery and McGarry's Sausage, and alone, stuck in a jar, for the Federal Housing Administration. Into the 70s and beyond, Henson largely abandoned original characters in favor of the much more recognizable Muppets from The Muppet Show, which was a huge hit in the mid-70s, and the sponsors and style changed with the times. Now, I tried to be as thorough as possible, but I'm sure a few fell through the cracks. Let me know what I missed. I know there is actually a whole subgenre of meeting and industrial films that would make a great follow-up video to this. The channel Kermie Clown was an amazing resource. If you want to see more or these spots in full, I will link their channel in the description. There's also a new Sleepcore, further looking at the Mullen Media. That's free over on Patreon. We also have new episodes of Century of Schlock and Retrofuturism and Animation over there as well, so please consider supporting us if you can. Patreon.com/PixandPortraits. As always, thank you so much for interest in this channel, and thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.